Tishoom. Okay, jokes aside, the National Rifle Association is tying up with MPL, a Sunni con, for what the Indian International Olympic Committee has allowed. We're talking about an Olympics for esports. It's the first time it's being held. It started on May 13, and Apna MPL from India is making what it's going to be a non-violent shooting game. What is a non-violent shooting game which will match all the standards of the Olympics? Joining us to talk about that is the co-founder, Sai. Sai, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Tell me, what is a non-violent shooting game?
Right. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show again. I think, see, when we say a non-violent shooting game, what we mean to say is that we're building a shooting game that complies with all the standards that a sport needs to comply to be in Olympics, right? It's going to be modeled more on traditional Olympics style formats such as trap and skeet. It's going to be less like some of the other shooting games out there, but it's going to be modeled more on how an Olympic sport of shooting is going to be, like trap or skeet.
And by when do you think you'll be ready? You've obviously missed this edition, so by when do you think you'll be ready?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, the fact that they've announced this edition, it's incredible, right? It's the first time that Olympics has now officially recognized digital sport or e-sport, right? I think from our perspective, we are aiming to be ready by August, and in fact, we're aiming to launch it on the Independence Day with a large tournament as well. But that's what we're gunning for, hopefully by August 15th.
So August 15th, with one of your biggest brand ambassadors, Virat Kohli, but he's cricket and not shooting.
That's fine, but shooting still happens. No, it's fine. I mean, we're happy with all sportsmen, right? Like, from our perspective, I mean, look at it this way, right? Shooting as a sport has produced, I believe, more medals for India in global sporting events than any other sport. So honestly, we're very, very proud to partner with NRAI. We're very proud to, create this game and create tournaments in this game as a way to enable more people and more players from across the country to pick up the sport of shooting, right? I mean, what is the best way for you to know or understand the sport of shooting than to probably play a digital game that introduces you to that concept? So from our point of view, I think we are very, very excited. And, as much as we are enthusiastic about partnering with Virat, we are equally enthusiastic about, partnering with NRAI and doing this.
I'm guessing, in knowing MPL and following and how you've done it in cricket, we could see some new brand ambassador deals also being signed for this. I know you won't reveal that here. But Sai, before you decided to enter into this partnership with the National Rifle Association of India, you must have done some dipstick surveys, try to figure out how big shooting can be for esports. Can you share what the revelations were? And after that, I'd like to talk to you about esports at large, but begin with this.
Right. Right. I think from our perspective, what we started realizing and what we understood is that for a lot of Olympic sports, now be it shooting or be it cycling or be it boxing or many other Olympic sports, we believe that the future is going to be a combination of physical and digital, or you can call it phygital, right? Where digital tournaments and digital sports tournaments are going to act as a great feeding mechanism or a great feeder mechanism to identify talent, to bring them into the physical sports ambit, right? And for a country like India, where we have so many people across the world, from the length and breadth of the country, it's very difficult for us to, reach out to them with physical infrastructure, right? So this is actually a brilliant way of doing this. And to be honest, this was an idea that we had, and this was an idea that when we spoke to NRAI about, even they were very excited, right? So, and that's the reason why we started this partnership. Our goal, honestly, is to take this partnership and make it happen with multiple different sports. I think it'll be wonderful tomorrow if we could, host tournaments not only in shooting, but tournaments in probably other Olympic sports as well, like boxing also, right? And identify people who might be interested in the sport and then bring them into the physical ambit. So that was the thought process. It's more to do from connecting the dots. I think the market is anyhow there. It's more to do with connecting the dots and more to do with enabling the connection between both the physical and the digital ecosystems.
So you want to do it with other games as well. What could they be? Like, is it athletics, hockey? I don't know if gymnastics is going to be possible.
I mean, of course, you're right in saying that it's not possible everywhere. I fully agree with you, right? But at the same time, boxing for sure, wrestling for sure, hockey for sure. Football already has a lot of digital versions of the game. So there are many games where this is fully possible. Even archery, for example, archery has fantastic digital versions of the game, including motorsports, right? Even bike racing or dirt racing, which are very popular events across the world. Even those have wonderful digital games that can introduce people to the concept and bring them into the fold.
As this is just the first edition of the Olympic Virtual Series, and it's so big, as you also pointed out, like it's a big milestone that's been achieved. But how do you see that also progressing? Because, as you build this game and, hopefully it'll be part of the virtual series, the next Olympics, all of that, will we see countries coming out with their own national teams for esports that will be part of the Olympics once in 4 years series? Like, how do you see all of this growing up?
See, I think a lot of this is going to probably follow the physical formats or physical infrastructure that's already been set up, right? A lot of these countries will eventually have teams, but the beauty of digital is that you really don't have to go through a process of selection, because selection is kind of driven by competition, right? The disadvantage with physical is that you can't have 1 million people compete in a shooting tournament. It's impossible. But at the same time, in a digital tournament, you can have 1 million people compete. You can in fact have 5 million people compete, or in fact even 50 million people compete. So it's going to be the access is going to be democratized. The access is going to be provided to a lot more people. So it's going to become easier for players to compete, to get that spot in their country's teams, irrespective of where you're from. You might be from a village. You might be from, skyrise in a big city. It wouldn't matter. It would still be equal for everyone. And that, I think, is the most exciting part of what the Olympic Virtual Series is going to achieve.
Okay. And in India, do you see any national level games that could come about?
I think there will be a lot of national level games that will definitely come about. I think there's no doubt about it. I do believe that Olympics announcing this is kind of like it's that it's the tipping of the ice, or should I say that just the tipping point that was needed, right? Like now you will see a barrage of games coming in and a barrage of esport events coming up. I think when the greatest or the most celebrated tournament in the world, which is Olympics, decides to say that, hey, this is the future, I think it's only a matter of time before everybody else also starts adopting to it. So I mean, for me, honestly, it's something that I've been harping about for a year now, and it's really great to see that finally that coming through. Apart from that, we ourselves are also hosting a bunch of national level esport tournaments. For example, last year we hosted College Premier League. It was an inter-college esport championship. We will do it again this year in the fourth quarter of the year. That is October to December quarter of the year, and that's an annual event which happens in those 3 months.
And in fact, pre-registrations have also begun, right, for that battleground of PUBG. What does that mean for MPL?
I think the more number of games that are there and the more number of different tournaments that are happening, I think it's great for the ecosystem, right? I think it's good to have multiple different people, multiple different games, multiple different tournaments, multiple different formats. I think that just makes it for a very vibrant ecosystem, a very open ecosystem, and it creates a situation where a lot more innovation can happen. So from our point of view, it's wonderful because it just opens the ambit for more and more things to happen.
So as more and more things open up, more opportunities, obviously, you'll have more people that will want to become professional players. as far as esports goes. Sai, I'm telling you now, this is an open invitation. You know, all of this stuff happened. But the next interview I want to do with you is on choosing esports as a career for both men and women.
Sure.
I know there have been a lot of changes there. So that's another conversation I want to have with you on another day.
100%.
So I look forward to that. For today, thank you so much for joining us live on this edition of Startup Central. That's MPL for you, working on an Olympic standard shooting game with the National Rifle Association of India. We thought it's a big moment to celebrate as well for the esports around the world, with the International Olympic Committee actually having a virtual series that began on 13th of May.